What's going on, Drew?
Dude, I am back in Colorado, fully got my house in Wisconsin done. I can start getting my life back in order. I love it.
Well, that's good, man. That's good. Your life's coming back. I feel it. You look like your life's coming back. I can see it in your eyes. Your skin looks better.
Thank you. Yeah, life's good.
Yeah, I'm up in PA right now. We're on the Pennsylvania ranch. It's nice. I get out of the Florida heat. It's like 80 degrees instead of 95, and I like it, man. I got.
When are you heading back? When you head back? When do you become a snowbird?
Yeah, we're kind of doing it in pieces because we're looking at moving properties. So we're going to go back in September to secure that, and then we're going to come back for the holidays because it's really pretty up here during the holidays. And then January, we're getting the hell out of here for sure.
Right.
Yeah. And then I did promise our audience we would do a little news segment. We don't have to make it a big thing, but I do have some news if you want to hear it.
Yeah, what is it? I don't even know what it is. What is this?
Yeah, it's Amazon news. This is Amazon news. So Prime Day 2023 reached 12.7 billion, which is up from 11.9, which is insane. Like, imagine the fact that in 1 year, which in my opinion, already everyone and their mother is a Prime member.
Right.
Like, I didn't even know there was anybody left to not be a Prime member. Went up, again. And here's what's a little subcategory, and then you can comment. Appliances and home goods were the most popular. So there you go. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, people they save for those bigger purchases, right? This is pretty typical. They do the same thing during Christmas as well. They're looking for big deals. They know that they've got to replace something's getting old or dilapidated, or they want to, switch it out. And so you save the big dollars for those big sale days.
Makes sense. Vacuum 30% off. You're like, it's a $250 purchase, so it makes sense.
Yeah, right.
At that discount.
In a big purchase for people's, it differs on the person, right? Depending on what that product's going to be. Yeah.
Wow. Well, it beat out electronics, appliances and home goods. They said beat out electronics for the first time. So
I was about to say electronics would be the one that I would think that more people would want to go after.
TVs.
Yeah.
Everyone's buying freaking TVs and stuff, but vacuums, knife sets, bed sheets, that one.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
Cool.
So the guy that's about to join us today, Mr. Michael Estey.
Michael Christopher Estey.
Yes, Michael Christopher Estey. He's a serial Amazon preneur. He's I think he's launched of his own brands 7 or 8, and he's consulted with another 20 brands that he's connected to. Personally, I'm not exaggerating. I think the guy's launched probably 250 products between those brands. This dude knows what he's talking about.
That's great. Yeah, let's talk to him about that when we meet with him. I've known Michael for a long time, worked with him for a little bit. We collaborate on stuff, like SQP data when that stuff was really kind of hot and coming out. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to him about this, hearing a little bit more deeply about his background, but talking to him about his secret sauces, like what is he doing? How does he approach, building and growing these brands and then successfully launching products, like you said. 200 plus products under his belt. That's amazing.
Let's do it, dude. I'm excited.
All right, let's go.
Mr. Michael, don't know your middle name, Estey?
Christopher.
Oh yeah, it is. It's Michael Christopher Estey. That's right.
My original business was Michael Christopher Investments LLC.
You had a brand. I think you had one of your brands, and you had the honey skin, and then you had other brands that has Christopher in it. Isn't that right?
No, I never had an actual brand name with the Christopher in it. Just the LLC.
You know what? Okay, this is good. I'm gonna give this to you for free. So Michael Christopher Skincare, men's sophisticated skincare for men who wear loafers.
You gave that away for free? You're giving this away for free?
Already in the works, my friend.
Yeah. Michael's like, I'm already one step ahead of you on that.
Yeah.
Already formulating.
6 months.
All right. So for real, let's get started. So, Michael, this is great. We're really excited to be talking with you because you're a very experienced seller. You've got a really interesting background in terms of like what your journey's been and like what you have been doing more recently with the brands that you've sold. and then now you're working on some new brands. So yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here. Hi, guys.
Hello. So your dad liked to say you guys sell goop.
Goop, yeah, lots of goop. So
Goop in a jar.
Goop, hair goop, face goop, body goop, butt goop, boob goop.
Butt
Good
goop.
name for a product, boob goop. But so, and I mean everything from toothpaste, supplements, like pretty much anything related to the human body, I've sold. I like products related to the human body. I like consumable products. I love the game of trying to get as many subscribers and auto debits and repeat customers as possible, as opposed to a one-off, which I think is great, but I think it's harder to build a future and longevity with a one-off product that you just buy it and it's over. Unless it breaks frequently, but then you're probably going to buy it again.
So what's your strategy with that? Like, how do you, like, what's your approach? Like, you know, you're doing everything for the body, right? There's a lot there to pull in. You're looking at your brands, you're looking at like what's going on in the landscape, you're looking at shopper trends, you know, these things. How do you start to kind of navigate like what you want to go after?
Yeah, actually, it's a great question. There's two different ways I kind of approach it. One is audience. So a lot of people talk about, and you've probably heard this before, oh, Amazon's so crowded, or oh, everybody's got a product. And when you really look from the right perspective, it isn't. Actually, there's so many types of audiences. So like, yeah, if you go to launch, you know, a very crowded product, like everyone's selling aloe vera gel, right? So, oh my God, you type in aloe vera gel, Amazon, I think there's like 13,000 results. It's just insane, right? So, but it doesn't mean there's not an opportunity, right? So, and this is where audience comes in. So everyone's selling an aloe vera gel, but is everyone selling an aloe vera gel for this person, right? So, and I think a lot of people, what they don't really specify is they say, my product is for everybody. Like your product's not, if you sell a product for everybody, nobody buys it, right? It's for a person. So you have to decide to be a leader for a person. And you know what? Maybe if you're going to launch a aloe vera gel towards Black community, if you're going to launch an aloe vera gel toward the Hispanics, toward bicyclists, toward
Females.
Yeah, or females that go to the beach, right? Or whatever. So it's audience selection. And that's where you start to find holes. You're like, wait a minute, no one's done an aloe vera gel for this guy, right? And then you start to do a little bit of Google searching and even TikTok a little bit, and you'll find this guy or this girl really need aloe vera gel, but no one's really identifying with that person. They're all just selling generic aloe vera gels from, and then they have 6 different people in their graphics, not really hitting one particular person. And you know what? Some of them sell really well, but if it's the guy that comes in that's hitting that person and becomes the leader, and maybe that group isn't as big or broad as just all the people in the world that will buy aloe vera gel, but there are still a few million of them, right?
Yeah. I love this because it's like, you know, we talked with Ian, who's the name of the guy that runs Jackson Lane? I forgot his name right now off the
Alex.
Yeah. His bro mask is quintessentially what you're talking about, right? The concept of a face mask is not new, but a face mask for men was novel. And you know, he built a brand around it. He really built a brand around that whole.
He was the first to really do it.
Yeah.
So it's funny the power of choosing an audience, but it immediately opens your mind up to even extremely competitive products, right? So there's always a hole somewhere. Now you have to be clever. Like you can't just go, oh, I'm going to pick bicyclists, because what if no bicyclist ever really cares about aloe vera gel, or you find out they never even use aloe vera gel? So you have to pick an audience that obviously this would solve a problem for that audience, right? And the second type of product that I always go for is it legitimately is a high demand, no supply, right? So, and you don't really need an audience. You can go a lot broader, because it doesn't really matter what you're doing at that point. And this was, you know, essentially Amazon in 2012, right? Like just everyone was going and flocking to Amazon to buy stuff, and nobody was selling it yet, right? It was a future product coming, or the sellers that were selling it had no idea what they were doing. It had 3 reviews. It was from China. It arrived in 6 weeks. And, and so of course you come in with an FBA listing and boom, 100K a month in 1 month, right? So
reminds me of that green tea stick. What was that thing? That green tea stick?
yeah, exactly, right?
Everyone was searching and there was one guy making all the money at the time. Remember?
Yep. There's still, I find stuff like that regularly in different categories. Amazon is not full, actually. It's far from it. So when you know what you're looking for, and there's still just basic product white space. And you know what? Like, let's say if you're also looking to launch a home decor product, I shop in home decor, by the way, and it is a barren wasteland of nothing. They do not have the modern, cool, trendy stuff. Now, keep in mind also, home decor trends tend to change, sometimes even on a yearly basis, right? So it's very difficult for a seller to keep up with that. But it also presents a lot of opportunity for sellers where you just find categories like that or subcategories that are just barren wastelands of poor sellers and poor guys have no idea what they're doing yet. And they just don't know how to sell the product, or they don't know how to pick the product and make it trendy and popular for today's day and age. That's where you just find product white space.
So Michael, tell me how these guys, I'm going to share my screen for the audience here. How did these guys that sell snail secretion dominate and become the #1 product in beauty? How in the hell? What is snail secretion? I mean, do you know about this trend?
Yes. So see, this is white space. This is not exactly, so like if you look at their graphics, they're not targeting an audience. They did #2. Snail secretion is a very viral topic on TikTok. And the reason why they're doing so well is they capitalize on the viral topic of the snail-based music products. And they were really the first to market. And they saw this trend coming. I knew and it's funny, and I didn't do anything about it, and I highly regret it. I was told about this upcoming trend 3 years ago. 3 years ago. And they were like, it's telling you, snail secretion mucin stuff is going to be the big seller. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Like, that's gross. No, no way.
And the chemist that told me this, like, this is going to be trending on social media in a short amount of time. You better get on this bandwagon. And I was like, I don't believe you. And guess what? Boom, right? So I noticed this product a while ago, and I was like, yep, they were right. But of course, like, how am I going to know that? But you can, and the thing I didn't know at the time, of course, is let's go on social media and find out who's talking about it.
Sure.
So, and that's a very good way to find products, by the way. Most people completely overlook that. If you just type in some hashtags and go on TikTok, TikTok's great for product finding, but you would have found that this was an emerging trend 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right? So it's growing. You could see its popularity. You could see it also in Google Keyword Planner and the searches for it growing and going up. And so you could forecast that, hey, in 2 years, it's going to be a super hot product. May as well invest in it now, right? So, and these guys did. They caught it, and they were very clever, and boom, they're making millions.
Millions. #1 is, I don't even know how many units a day that is, but that's a lot. That's crazy.
That's white space, right?
Okay.
So that's #2. Second option.
So you're an optimist, man. You still think there's a lot of potential, especially if you do your homework and you talk to an audience. It's funny. I kept thinking about a client that we manage. They had a magnesium product, magnesium supplements. I mean, nothing can be more boring than just selling magnesium. But they were smart. They went, you know what? There's no one who's doing magnesium for PMS, specifically female menstrual cycles. Magnesium helps a lot. And no one's marketing to that audience. So they launched a magnesium. Guess what? Product's the same as any other magnesium, but they did a really good job of communicating that it's for women with PMS that need help sleeping.
Perfect.
Boom.
This right there. They found a whole audience.
Yeah, I find it interesting. So like my wife and I do gardening, okay? And we go to Ace Hardware or wherever and we buy a bag of dirt. And the bag of dirt that goes in like a ground, like, like in, a wooden ground garden versus one that's elevated, like an actual elevated garden that like sits at like kind of waist level. So you don't have to bend down. There was a brand that sold the same dirt, but they said it was for elevated gardens. That's all it was for. And it's like, which one are you going to buy? Right? I'm going to buy the one for the elevated garden because that's what I'm shopping for, right? Like it's
don't take your
it's a
chances.
no-brainer. It's a positioning thing too. Now I'm a marketing guy, so I know that like it doesn't really matter which bag of dirt I'm really buying. But I'm telling you, like I got pulled into like that's the one I need to look at. That's the one I really need to pay attention to because it's really designed for me.
Yep, and that's where you get more specific with the white space thing, because sometimes, you know, it's like the earlier example of aloe vera gel or any other product. Like there are niches within products, right? So there's also, instead of an audience selection, you can pick a problem selection, right? Or a solution to a particular problem. So, you know, and it's maybe aloe vera gel for dry scalp. You know, it's just like, oh, that's a good idea, but it's just funny that sometimes you do that, and then this is like a dirt for an elevated situation, you know. So it's just like same thing. It's now taking the same idea but niching it a little bit.
So, but there's a downside to it. When you niche it, you're selling less.
You shrink the audience.
But the upside is your conversion rate is insane, but that product's never going to be the #1 aloe gel on Amazon. It's not going to happen because you're niching it. But at the same time, you know you're going in and you're going to get something profitable. So that's the idea.
Sure, but sometimes, this is where you use Google and TikTok, the niche is giant. And it's uncaptured. So when you find that, you struck gold. Especially if you have the ability to develop the product and get it launched ASAP, because someone else is going to find it pretty quickly. So you find, and the way to find like the size of the audience is Google is very helpful for that. And so it's TikTok. You'll see how many views this topic has and likes and engagement it has on social media, right?
So I'm not a TikToker. So break it down for me as for the older audiences like me. Okay, you go to TikTok. There's a hashtag search.
Yep. So one of the ways I do it is hashtag Amazon finds. That's a great way. Those are great product opportunities, a lot of those. And some of those videos are viral, which means, especially if you stay on top of it, and if you're able to launch products quickly, if you see a Amazon finds that's repeating over and over again, and there's white space for that product, like there's not a lot of sellers of it yet, it's instant money, right? So, because you got so much TikTok traffic going to Amazon for looking for products similar to that. So, but also typing in the type of, you know, niche or trend you're looking for, like snail mucinex, right? Hashtag snail mucinex. Let's search for the videos. And then within the videos, you'll usually find threads of videos. You'll find related videos. You'll find a lot of things to look at. You'll look at different volume or views some of those videos have, engagement, etc. So that's where you start to build your ideas. It only takes about 5 minutes to do to get a good feel for the audience is searching for those products.
I just had that happen to me. I've been following these like keto carnivore diet influencers, and they were spraying, or not, they were putting on this special salt on their meat because they're like, you need electrolytes on this diet. And I'm like, hook, line, and sinker. I'll do anything they say, right? Because this is how it works. I follow them. So they're like, buy Celtic salt. Here's the brand. I go to Amazon, sold out everywhere. Can't find it. I finally find it at a small store here in Pennsylvania. But I'm like, that's white space.
Just buy it all and resell it. Just buy it and resell it.
Either that, or I'm calling wherever the hell you get Celtic salt and doing some, I'm going to do some Irish salt. New brand, new trademark. Let's go. But that's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you another great example. My sister is an influencer, very big TikTok influencer, 250 million views.
Wow.
She does videos eating foods with cottage cheese and mustard. She's the mustard lady.
Gross.
And so anyway, yeah, it's very interesting. So anyway, but she did videos on what was it? The chicken apple sausage. Sold out nationally of chicken apple sausages of all grocery stores, by the way.
And what's funny is I don't even think if the chicken apple sausage community tried to recreate that, they couldn't do it. If they tried to pour money into it, they probably couldn't do it. It had to happen like that.
250 million people saw chicken apple sausages on TikTok as a trend, as a trending thing to eat with mustard and cottage cheese. And of course, they all bought out, all the grocery stores of all chicken apple sausages.
Okay, that makes more sense with the mustard now, because that actually is good with mustard. That makes more sense.
But also with cottage cheese mix.
I won't be a hater. I won't be a hater.
But also with.
But yeah, so it happens. You can find those, by the way, and jump on them. There's a trend like that. Jump on it. Like, it's also a great way to capitalize, but you can get your footing as a brand that way by just riding a wave, and then the wave carries you all the way to, like, you can have success for years to come from that. As you're established, you have a consumer base, will repeat order, et cetera, right? And I'm sure whatever companies decided to make chicken apple sausage at the time of chicken apple sausage going viral on TikTok were very, very clever for doing startup sausage companies, right? And sold out of their sausages too. They had more demand than they had supply. So that's an example of another white space. Even there's so many brands that sell chicken apple sausage.
Sure.
Cool.
Still more opportunity there.
So this is,
I'm getting hungry.
I love this, by the way. Like this conversation constantly comes up with people that we're talking with. Like, I need to grow my account. I don't know how to grow my account, or I know like loosely how to grow my account, but I really don't know how to execute on it. So you've got a product. Like, let's say you come up with a mustard cottage cheese lotion
mixed together.
Lotion
with a little bit of chicken sausage in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what's your, like, what is your these still competitive markets, even everything you're sharing, nonetheless, Michael, like, there's still competitive markets. I want to recognize that. Yeah. But that said, like, launching and identifying a product, identifying the audience, then you've got to assess like the competitive market. And once you've kind of checked all those boxes, now you're left with like, okay, I'm making a decision. I'm going to buy something, I'm going to make something, and I'm going to get it ready for sale on Amazon. Like, what are your thoughts on like, how do you reduce the risks? Because you've already talked about like finding the niche, but when you're getting ready to actually like put those products on, like, what are your thoughts on launching?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question also, because that's very key. Particularly launching on Amazon, you really want to have it really well planned. So you want to have your I's dotted, your T's crossed, have your content designed. So this is the catch-22 of Amazon. So even though you found a great product, a great opportunity, when you first launch it on Amazon, it is nowhere to be found, right? It is on page 13, 15, 20. It might be on page 3 or even 2 on some smaller keywords, right? So it's not going to be this high ranking, like you're just going to all of a sudden be pushed to the top. You have to influence that. Now, but you have to keep in mind, you're launching a new product. You have 0 reviews, 0 on day 1, right? And this is part of the catch-22. So you have to, and you can't just go around violating terms of service and getting, reviews from friends and family and people and they'll catch that. So, but so a strategy that I do, whether it's black hat or white or gray or some shades in between, is my first objective is to get reviews, right? And so between if you have an email list, if you have an audience somewhere with people across the globe or your country, your United States, etc., United States primarily, I'm sure, then your first goal is to get 3 to 5 or really 10 to 20 reviews, ideally. So you're not going to be able to do anything without reviews, right? So no one's going to really. Occasionally, someone will buy your listing, but it's very rare without reviews. So there are a lot of strategies for getting reviews. People have their own email lists. I always suggest like building a little email list beforehand. There's also services out there that they'll send a promo to their audience, and then the audience is more prone to leaving reviews. You'll get some that way. You'll get some organic reviews. And so in an ideal world, the first 10 reviews that you have are like epic, like video reviews, even video or picture reviews. Like those are the ones that are going to sort of engrave themselves on your listing, right? So, and sometimes people have influencer lists that they have to, hey, buy my product on Amazon and can you leave yourself in a video and talking about it. Here's the product, here's the link, etc. And so a lot of people have different ways of doing it like that, but that is the most crucial. Now there is one hack to take away a lot of the risk of that. You don't always have to launch the ASIN or the SKU first that you're going to be permanently selling. You can launch a temporary, or call it a BS ASIN. So basically, it's not a real ASIN. It's a variation ASIN that houses the initial launch. You send in like 20 to 30 units, and then you can get your first set of traction, traffic, organic reviews on that. Let that build up with reviews and content. Of course, you already populated all the content out listing. Now, when you're ready to really launch with your 2,000 units, add your real ASIN variation, hide the other variation. It will share the reviews. And now from day one, you can do pay-per-click advertising, PPC, and you can do all of your marketing and strategies to a product with pre-existing reviews.
Yeah, I've heard of this. I've heard of this technique, Michael, and I know it works. Like we know it works, like what you're describing. And there's a variation of it too, where it's just you're literally launching your B player or C player that you know, because like you've done your homework. So, but if you're launching like a lotion or a liquid, you don't. I mean, maybe you've got like a mango version, a honey version, whatever the other key ingredient is that you know won't be a B version, but this is like specific to like supplements, like you're kind of referring to, because like you don't really have the same.
Technically do it on any product.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and there's nothing on TOS against it. You're literally just deciding you're launching a very small launch on a SKU that it's up to you. I don't see anything wrong with that.
That's right. And then the same thing is with your real ASIN that's going to have the whole algorithm built into it and the history. You want it from day one. The closest you can get to day one, getting that traffic and sales, right? You don't want it just sitting there for 3 weeks and not doing anything and with no performance. But also you can't advertise to a product with 0 reviews on Amazon. Would you buy a product with 0 reviews on Amazon? Like I certainly wouldn't. So why would a customer, right? So, but I have looked at many products and purchased products with 30 reviews or 20 or even sometimes 10. I'm more prone to do it. They have 10 reviews. Now, if I went into a product with 10 reviews, I'm investigating it, and the first 10 reviews I see has great pictures and user-generated content on it, I'm more likely to buy it, even maybe over the 100 review item, which is with only one picture.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can have the best listing in the world, and if there's no reviews, it's like, yeah, it's beautiful, but no one's tried it. I don't want to be the first. I don't want to be the first dude to put that on my face. I'd rather hear about someone else putting it on their face first.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to be the 300th
supplement. Like, what if this thing is poisonous if it's a supplement, right? What if this thing hurts me? What if it makes me constipated? What if it makes me,
supplements?
So
supplements
buying a full review supplement, that's tough. And this is the reason why people say supplements are tough and because launching new supplements, this is what they're running into. Nobody wants to buy skincare or beauty supplements or health-related products with insufficient social proof. So there's ways to solve that without, sometimes if you just launch your product, to get your social proof, you might have to wait 3 months. But then by that time, you lost algorithmic potential for growth. That's why you launch the B player, the C player, or whatever first to gather the variation, to gather those initial reviews. This takes away so much risk upon launching.
Well,
what's your take on the cost though, Michael? Because like that's going to be, depending on the seller and their sophistication and their budget. I think one of the questions I've got in my mind is, as a seller, it's like fine, but like, how do I budget that? And then how do you argue the idea that there's a return on investment, because I'm going to spend money on all of that, and then I'm still going to relaunch, right? With this, the real ASIN, like the primary ASIN that you're really trying to launch for. Could you just maybe share some comments on like just your insights on? I mean, there's going to be an ROI here. That's my point. But like, can you just share a couple comments around what your perspective is on sort of the investment associated with this and like how this is de-risking for the longer term?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I mean, there's always going to be some kind of risk in whatever product you launch. If you did your homework properly, every bit of homework that you do on the trend of the product and popularity, et cetera, will take away more and more risk. If you're kind of, half-assing it, throwing it up there, not really doing the homework, just someone told you it was a good idea at one point type product, yeah, that's a lot of risk, right? But if you know your marketing analytics, then you're probably good. Now to take away even more risk. So if a product goes up and you did all of this marketing, all of this traction, got all this traffic, and it still isn't selling, something's fundamentally wrong. The message is wrong. The content is wrong. The graphics are wrong. The audience is wrong. You picked something wrong about the product. Maybe it's also the niche, like you picked, this is for aloe vera for dry scalp, right? And that means probably some of the marketing research was wrong, that there's actually just no demand for aloe vera for dry scalp, right? So what I do in those circumstances, given I have the time and the resources, is I change the angle. I change the message. Ideally, as close to launch as possible. If I see any indicator the launch is not going well, or something is flopping, it's hard to do because it also takes a lot of resources to completely redesign a listing. But you do a packaging may vary graphic. So basically, here's your old label, here's your new label. Packaging may vary. You can still send out your old inventory cleared out. Your new inventory will be redesigned. But if you constantly are split testing your messaging and your angles and your audience, one of those little elements is wrong, right? Either your niche, your audience selection, the white space you chose, your marketing research. There's always one of those aspects you did wrong. Do you know which one? No, but it's not that hard to find out, especially when you see your conversion rate in your product is only 7%, even though you have reviews now, and you're like, okay, my conversion rate 7%, clearly I did something very wrong. So you keep retrying it again until you hit the right thing. And I've done that many times where I've had to redo an entire listing 3 or 4 times until I got it right, and then it started selling.
Well, I think it's pretty cocky to think like, or ignorant to think like the first run is going to be perfect.
Oh yeah.
Like you don't know, like you could have the best $1 million idea in your mind possible and do all the market research, and then the audience comes in and says, nah, we're good, and you're dead in the water. And the truth, they're the ones who decide, not you. So I've seen so many times people come to me with launches, are like, oh my God, I'm on day 30 and I'm selling 1 unit a day. I look at the messaging, I look at the and I go, whatever idea you had, you need to just swallow it, swallow your pride, and realize it just isn't working. Start over. I'm going to tell you some stuff you don't want to hear. And we usually get it on track with messaging. And I love what you said about packaging may vary, Michael, because packaging may vary is an image that we do as the second image, right? Where we show, packaging may vary. You may get this image, you may get this one. Don't be alarmed. The ingredients are the same, right?
Right.
But it's so smart because you're basically surveying a non-existent packaging. And before you go to print, and if it really goes well and people start buying the shit out of the idea of a packaging, which is a 3D render, now you go and print it. It's genius.
Yeah.
So who the hell wants to pay for packaging without a packaging may vary update test before they do so?
That's exactly right. And also you could do it in managed experiments. So,
you totally can.
I think you do a 2-week experiment now on Amazon. You could just literally put up a new packaging, 3D render, and do this versus this. I've done that so many times, and
there's one flaw. There's one flaw.
Better conversion rate on version B, the newest version, right?
The only flaw though is the only flaw with experiments. We just went through this with the brand is experiment doesn't tell you the CTR. If they did, that would be a lot more helpful because CTR, the main image is a CTR play, right? And the other images are a conversion rate. But if the conversion rate goes up, yeah, obviously the CTR went up.
But if it's your second image, which is what we were saying, then CVR would be fine, right?
No, it would be your first. What I mean is the
experiment. As the main image doesn't tell you a click-through rate.
Yeah.
You're saying put the new image, the new packaging on the hero.
The only way
you have the packaging will vary on image number 2. You're going to use the click-through rate to measure the packaging impact.
And the click-through rate isn't tellable. You can't get that data
that
from
makes
experiment.
Perfect sense.
And you can't get it from organic. The only place you can get CTR is PPC.
Right. You just run a campaign. You just run a campaign to test that, for 2 weeks and see if the CVR is actually changing. But you need to do, if you're going to do top of search as your test, you got to do top of search before, top of search after. You can't run a top of search, because you're just going to be saying, hey, I want a whole bunch of more shoppers to click into my listing and buy it regardless. So
the only way I let them, if there's no conclusive evidence with a managed experiment of a 60% win rate. So like if it has to be a landslide win rate for me to qualify it as a successful experiment on the main image, has to be like 93% version B, right? So if it's 60-40, I'm like inconclusive.
Right.
If it's
especially because the sample size might not be big enough too. It'll be like this one sold $500. This one sold $560. It's like
inconclusive.
Okay. Yeah. Inconclusive.
But also, an easier way of doing it is I mark down all the PPC. I have every single product I have as a change log. So when I change the main image too, because a lot of times I don't like using managed experiments for that reason. I have used it a lot. Don't get me wrong. But a change log, you record the conversion rate, you record the click-through rates, you record everything. Change the main image, packaging may vary. Now, okay.
Across the board.
And then record every single metric on a log thereafter and look at the results. That's your split test.
Yeah, we've been doing that a lot, Drew, haven't we, with the main image? It's true. It works that way. Yeah, do 7 days before, 7 days after. You just update it. You don't do an experiment. You don't change your PPC. You change nothing. You don't do it on a prime day. You do it on a regular week, before and after. You'll get the data.
Yeah, usually. You've done this, Michael. You get it. Most sellers who are kind of like sticking their toe in the water on this belief system that you're really referring to, they got to do it to find out, and it doesn't always work. Right? You may make a change, and then you just don't see the change. To your point, you got to do it 3 or 4 times until you really know that you got the right mix.
I've done changes that have actually destroyed listings. All of this information is born out of failure, not success.
Right. Yeah.
I
totally.
failed. I ruined listings learning. But the thing is, some listings were already so ruined that it wasn't going to hurt them to change anything. Right. So let's keep changing the message, changing the angle, and that's fine. There's no risk involved. But I'm like, hey, I got a big seller here. I want to make an even bigger seller out of it. That's where you're like, ooh, because obviously my goal is like, I want to be the top, right? I want to be selling as much as I can. So it seems to be capping out with this message. So let's change the angle a little bit, and maybe we can get more market share. That's where it's risky, and I've destroyed listings doing that. But I've also doubled listings doing that.
Yeah. We just saw this recently, changing out a hero image on a product that's been around forever. They really have, like, of all the history, they got all the advantages really of like being an early product into the market. And over time, it's just been eroded. So we did a listing refresh, everything except the hero. We didn't change the hero out. We saw marginal changes. It was improved, but it was still marginal improvements. When we flipped the hero out, the click-through rate went twice, and you'd be amazed at the change. The change is nominal. It's you would be like, what? This will never double the click-through rate. It sure as hell did.
It literally doubled it. And the BSR went from 3,000 to 1,200.
Yeah.
Which
they're back in business.
In beauty is a massive, it's doubling sales. That's like insane.
Wow. So
it makes your point.
That happen a lot.
And that's a good one, right? But to your point, we do these other changes and other ones. It's not that we don't see improvements. Usually what we're trying to do is do stuff that's intuitive and instinctive and it's data driven, and we're making those changes. And sometimes you're like, well, we're really only seeing a 10% bump. It's still a 10% bump.
Yeah, no, exactly. Was that changing it to the old packaging, or is that just changing the quality of the main image?
I'll show you offline. It's really just it's this idea that it's a phrase that Brian Kelsey phrase. It's called stop the scroll, right? Or stop the search.
Stop the search.
And I love it because it becomes a mantra for sellers to think about, is like, how am I stopping the search on Amazon? And all we really did was just put additional like image elements behind the product packaging, right?
Accenting.
Like ingredients. In this instance, we put some ingredients behind the listing. We
Right.
did it in a way that really does make it stand out within the context of all the other competition.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Got it. I know exactly.
So the packaging is the same. We changed some coloring because it was kind of dull coloring.
Yep.
But yeah, we
My
basically
colors, yeah.
we basically realized that the number one seller in this category was impossibly colored. Like they were like neon, and it was like and when you look at the images that people are uploading, it's not anywhere near. It's like more of a brownish color, and they were like neon. So they did a good job of like stopping search, right? Our thought process was,
I think I know exactly what category and what product you're talking about.
Let's learn from this. Maybe we don't want to go full like radiation neon. Right?
Right.
These guys, these guys have like actually worse reviews than we do, even though they're selling crazy amounts. But let's learn from this. So we lightened it up, splashed some ingredients, and then changed the listing to cater to an audience that was specifically being so this particular product and their competitor was really popular in the Black community. The competitor was making a lot of money because the Black community loved their product and it helped them with their skin. And I asked my client, I said, do you get a lot of your customers Black? He's like, yeah, majority. Why do you have white models all over your listing? Why do you do that?
Perfectly white model.
If you're literally trying to talk to a Black person, why would you think they want to see a white model use it? That doesn't make sense to them. It doesn't relate to them. So we changed it, and of course the sales improved.
It works.
They're
really
they're being represented. Simple as that.
Yeah, it's funny
So,
too. And I think sellers will hear this and they'll be like, "Wow, like, is that real?" And it's like, of course it is. I mean, of course it's common sense, but it's difficult to get your head wrapped around it sometimes.
Well, when you're in it, and that's what the thing is. This is, of course, this is a lot of dumb moments for a lot of sellers, right? But when you're in it all day and you're in the grind, in your head, you got blinders on and you can't look and you're overwhelmed or whatever, your creativity sort of turns off. And this is creative stuff, right? So this is why you have to take, what I do as a daily practice is I take a while, even 15, 20, 30 minutes, and I just look at my listings. I look at competitors, I look around, I start just shopping. And that has been the most useful. I've done it for years, by the way. And that's how I come up with so many ideas for my listings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, what if we did this? Oh, wait, what if we did this? Ooh, wait a minute. All these people that are buying the listings or all people leaving reviews are this demographic, or they're all bicyclists, or why don't we start putting out the graphics? Then you start getting that creative juice flowing and seeing that. And those are the ideas that I've doubled, tripled, or 50x sales of some products, because you just look and you start, and common sense comes,
But you're looking with a fresh viewpoint, though, Michael. You're not looking the same way you looked 2 days ago. You're looking, okay, it's a new day. I'm just going to pretend like I don't know these products.
That's right. Yeah, you have to look as if you're a customer.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take on the perspective of your customers buying your product, or other customers not buying your product. And sometimes the easy way to do that is start shopping for similar products in your category.
I learn more from competitors. I learn way more looking at a competitor listing than I do my own or my clients.
Yeah.
I go
learn a lot from competitors too.
Way more.
Is looking at your own, looking at competitors, but you could also just spend half an hour looking through competitors' listings, and then now go back to yours, and you'd be like,
yes.
Ooh,
right, totally.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, I've got one tip for you. We're getting short on time too, but I got one tip for you, Michael. I think you might find interesting. So, take the images on your sponsor brands, and you take a low selling product, one that's not meaningful to your listing. Take the hero image and flip it upside down. Okay. So you're taking a loser product is not contributing to your revenue, and you're flipping it upside down. And then shoppers will click on your sponsor brand ad to go find more. It's just stopping the search, right?
Oh,
it's not out of terms of service. It's just not oriented correctly. And And then the other one was we did this one. This was
there's
like,
that one down.
it's a
Gotta
cool
write
one.
that down.
And then the other one that's really interesting is so we were looking at hair dryers. This is a commodity. We're looking at hair dryers, and every single seller has the hair dryer pointing from right to left. Every one of them. If you go look, search hair dryer, travel hair dryer, whatever, you're going to see all the hair dryers pointing left to right. So we're like, let's do left to right.
It's
So
the
we just have
one,
the hair
the
dryer
one
blowing
on
exactly
call.
opposite way.
Yeah. That
Right.
drives all that curiosity.
And it sounds dumb. I mean, how long have hair dryers been selling on Amazon? And like, we're the first ones to discover this. Like,
I know.
you know, like,
No, it's true. It's like the Lefty store from The Simpsons. Remember the Lefty store? Did
No,
you guys watch The Simpsons?
I
There
don't.
was
I
a
did
store
watch
that
something about it.
there was a store that only sold to left-handed people.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So it's like a left-handed knife, and it's the same.
Dude, that's how we
Nice.
should have opened this conversation. This is perfect. That is quintessentially exactly what Michael's whole point was.
Exactly
This is
the
for
whole
left-handed. This shovel's only for left-handed. Well, thanks for joining us, Michael. I think the creative juices are flowing, and I hope the audience feels the same. And we're getting them to look at different techniques and think differently, think outside the box, and that's what this podcast is all about. So thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I wish we had more time. Honestly, I'd like to spend another 20 minutes with you, just like riffing on like fun stuff that happens on Amazon that produces results or don't.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can do another one too.
Yeah, sounds good.
It was good.
Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate your time.
Of course.